I don't know what we're thinking.
Call this meeting of the Shorewood Village Board to order at 7:49. All trustees are present.
Yes.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Takes us to item 6. Is there a motion to approve the December 19th village board minutes?
I move to approve the December 19th village board meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, on the top of the second page, it says direct the matter to be referred to the Parks Committee. I think it's the Parks Commission. The Parks
Oh, it is technically
Commission. And on page 3 of the third paragraph, it has SIC. Maybe on the first appearance of an acronym, put what it is, the full title, for future people reading these and what it is.
Any other comments on the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the December 19th agenda with the changes as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is citizens to be heard. This item is for matters that are not on this evening's agenda. Discussion may follow comment on non-agenda items, or discussion and action may come at future meetings. Is there anybody who wishes to be heard on non-agenda items this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 8. This is a public hearing for the proposed River Park zoning amendment. What I would like to do here is combine 8 with 9A, which is the consideration of ordinance regarding the River Park zoning amendment. What we'll do is we'll have Trustee Maher give a little presentation just so everybody is brought up to speed. And when his presentation is over, I'll open the public hearing, and after we close the public hearing, I'll move on to the actual consideration of the ordinance. So with that, I'll turn it over to Trustee Maher.
This is somewhat of a housekeeping matter. When we updated the Central District Master Plan in 2014, there are 2 parcels in River Park that front onto Oakland Avenue. In 2006, when the original Central District Master Plan was approved, those 2 parcels were taken from park zoning to B1 commercial zoning. The lot used to be a high, apartment building with retail on the bottom. When we updated the plan in 2014, the Planning Commission looked at those parcels. The original draft had both parcels as developed. The north parcel, they said, no, we will not develop it because that's a restricted covenant on the property. The south parcel, they said, let's keep that for commercial. They did the opposite. The south is park and the north is commercial. They had the deed restricted portion as commercial zoning. When it came before the board said unanimously voted on the 2014 to make it all park, not develop it. It should not be developed. But we never rezoned the zoning back to park. So the action before us would return that portion of River Park back to P3. There's another parcel in the park, which is the north part of the baseball diamond. And if you look on the map, there's the 2 high-rise developments that are on their own parcels, and there's a third parcel that's PDD, Planned Development District. Originally, when those buildings were developed in 1974, there was supposed to be a third building there. It never occurred, the funding ended, They had an option to purchase the property from the village. The option lapsed, the property retained with the village. And then it was just incorporated into the park. And when they built the ball diamond, the outfield of the ball diamond is that in that PDD zone property and also the north part of the soccer fields. It's being heavily used as park, but it never, the zoning was never cleaned up from the 70s when the PDD didn't go forward. So this is an opportunity to get the park back together as a park. They're also occurring in these parcels, and I'm sure you've been through the packet. There's a large parcel right in the middle, which was purchased with federal open space and recreational money back in 1972. By taking those funds, the village accepted a restriction or covenant on the deed, which required that land be used for open space and recreation. And that restriction flows all the way to that parking lot north of, or south of Harry's. That whole parking lot and part of the promenade south of that is all deed restricted. You couldn't build something on there if you wished to. And the village had explored with the initial Central District Master Plan when it called for development to see if the DNR would allow a land swap. That never was approved. They're very tight on that because these funds are awarded to maintain open space in tight urban areas. If they were allowing real easy swapping of land, we would lose the open space. So the deed restriction is retained on that parking lot north of here. Part of why the deed restriction flows that way is the entrance used to be where that parking lot was, and it flowed right and connected and went to the apartments. In the 90s, they switched the road entrance right off Edgewood, then went north. And in the parks plan in 92, they called for the development of the parking lots and the promenade between the parking lots to create parking for the park and the additional recreation that was going to occur with the ball diamonds. And as we heard when in 2014 on the Central District Master Plan Review, all the public comments on parking for the soccer, parking for the ball diamond, not having to cross Oakland with children if there was no parking there. So there is a heavy use, and it also supports, when it's not being used for recreation, the businesses in the area and the density of the apartments. So it does provide parking for some of the River Park folks and other businesses in the area. So what we have before us is two alternatives. This went before the Planning Commission on November 22nd. They considered the 3 parcels. They recommended that the ball diamond parcel, the PDD parcel, be rezoned back to P3, or to P3. The parking lot just south of Harry's that has the deed restriction, that be rezoned from B1 to P3, because you can't do anything on it. They did say that the little parcels on the southeast corner of the park, that stay as B1, and it was a split vote. It was 4-4 not changing the zoning, 3-4 making it P3. So the plan coming out of the Planning Commission, the one thing that's still in debate is that south parcel on Oakland. There was some discussion in the Planning Commission. You could have a coffee shop there. It's not the highest, best use of the land. Well, from a commercial development, yeah, you could probably get more money on any piece of land. You can convert Atwater Park to condos and it'd be higher use land. So it comes before us. We can either, there's 2 alternative ordinances. One is to take all 3 parcels and bring them back into the park, or to keep the 2 the Planning Commission, make them P3, and the south parcel on Oakland, leave it P1 for some purpose. If you look at the aerial in our package, that south parcel just has the bus station, 1 row of the parking. It's a very small parcel and includes the roads. So, would be a small parcel, so it's,
We're not going to discuss it now. Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I will, with that, open up a public hearing for the proposed River Park zoning amendment. Is there anybody who wishes to be heard on the consideration that's coming before us? Yes.
Hi, I'm Linnea Sundstrom, 1320 East Lake Bluff. I'd like to see it be non-commercial. It's the entrance.
You gotta come up to the microphone. So
I do, okay. Okay, do you want to start over?
yes, please.
Linnea Sundstrom, 1320 East Lake Bluff. I would like to see that whole thing be left as non-commercial for several reasons. One is it's an entrance to the village. We could do something really nice there that would be welcoming to our village, rather than just more buildings kind of blocking the view and so forth. Also, we all know that that area flooded very badly a few years ago, so that indicates that it is prone to flooding, which I think will limit its viability, certainly as any kind of residential property, because that would be like a danger to the public, but also I think even as commercial, probably nobody really wants to insure it. So I think it's beautiful, you know, it's there, we can use it as parkland, we need as much green space as we can possibly hold on. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard in public hearing?
Good evening, I'm Diane Eisen, I live at 3837 North Kramer, and I don't remember the terminology, the P's and the ones and the twos, but I really would like to see that corner remain open for green space as well. I remember well the hearing and all the public commentary and all the people who enjoy using that area, and I think if they were there, they would still feel the same way. Let's just make a good statement and keep it clean.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Donna Pollack, 4395 North Alpine. I absolutely support keeping this at all of the space of zone P3. The public hearing that was done in March, no, it was 2014. I think all people that came to that meeting pleaded for that area to remain so that we have a nice entrance to the park, so that it can support the baseball diamond and the soccer field. So I would ask that you all vote to keep it P3. Thank you.
I'm Elizabeth Beagley. I live at 2413 East Shorewood Boulevard. I would say that the entire area of the main park, the baseball diamond and the soccer fields are such a public, wonderful public place that we have for our children. And I'd like it to remain that way. If people come from all over and they use our businesses because they're going to baseball games there, it's a benefit to our whole community.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing and turn it back over to Trustee Maher for the consideration of the ordinance 270 regarding the River Park zoning amendment. Yeah, well, actually, I'm opening this up to deliberation right now. We have to decide which one. Two alternatives. Trustee Zovik.
Thank you. A couple of questions. The restricted covenant that governs those parcel that I'll call parcel D, like an odd-shaped one. I've heard a couple of terms used interchangeably: open space and green space. Is that purposeful? Is there a difference between open space and green space? And more importantly, does the use of that land as parking comply with the restriction for open space or green space, whichever the appropriate term is?
I think that trustee Maher answered that already in his presentation.
That it
saying
can be used for
that
parking.
parking supports the
Recreation, that was when it's part of the park,
Right,
it's part of
it's
the
part of the
park plan,
recreation.
and it's part of the recreational activity. And it's open, I'm looking for the actual, it's open space and recreation use of the term in the
And
covenant.
because the parking supports those activities.
That those activities and other uses that are also related.
Secondly, is East River Park Court a public right of way?
Vacated.
Because you made a comment in your opening comments, trustee Maher, that parcel, and I'll call it 3505, you said it includes the roadway.
Well, the parcels on either side, the parcel was split in 1990. When they redid the easement, they switched the easement from coming in from Oakland to the through, the survey maps were redone in that action.
You can see the old one on Exhibit A, which is different from the one on Exhibit
Okay.
A. It says village dedicated street.
So is this in Exhibit D that shows that the western portion of parcel E is currently zoned park, but the eastern portion of the road is not? That's correct?
Mhm.
The easiest one to look at is probably B.
D isn't bigger.
Correct. Because it shows, you can see where East
I have a
River.
bigger B than you do.
Yeah.
Our B is from the central plan, central district master plan.
There's actually Exhibit B that's attached to the ordinance, which is further on.
Okay.
Oh,
That's at the end.
Exhibit J.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So we've got E1 and E2.
And that shows you, the parcels that you're looking at are C, D2, and E2 on that view. You can move all of them or none of them. That's correct, yes.
So thank you, trustee Rosie.
Question, is there anything, if we decide to go with the P3 designation or keeping it in the state of this designation?
P3.
Is there anything that we can do to prohibit parking? Meaning, does this designation, I would hate to designate it to something and then it allows more surface parking. Is surface parking allowed as a use in the P3 designation? And I think it is that correct?
let's get it for part.
If it was associated with the park.
Park. I don't know what, you'd have to put it out in the soccer field or something. I don't,
And it would have to come before the
yeah.
board. I mean, it would come
Come
before
before the
planning
board,
commission.
yeah,
And
I guess I would envision more, at some point, if people are more walkability and using public,
Go the
that
other
we
way.
might be able to tear up one of those parking lots and put in a playground, or tennis courts, or just open benches and some other uses of park.
And is there any way to like get that, because it is allowed, I think parking is allowed use in P3, is there any way to maybe put it in minutes or something that says, if we designated P3, we were hoping for something other than.
We can restrict your board.
It just be.
I have a question, since I wasn't at the plan commission.
Yes.
And the plan commission voted to maintain it. But can you recall any reasoning for maintaining the business portion? I forget what the letter designation is.
B1.
Yeah, B1.
I heard the highest, best use, coffee shops, just, it's an opportunity, it's fun. It's our entrance, let's make it a commercial entrance.
Okay.
A different, just a different outlook.
So there's really nothing strong enough to make us not want to override what they did.
Well, you're, in all fairness, you're asking for who voted it.
Yeah, is there a-
The minutes,
What is-
let's put it this way, the minute, well, minutes
Minutes will
don't,
reflect.
yeah, they don't reflect that phrase, but that's the standard by which the planning commission is.
Okay. Trustee Rosen.
So is there anything that maybe you're asking it to Nathan, is there anything that you can put in a motion that would, or in the ordinance that would prohibit additional surface parking on that parcel?
No, merely because what you're considering tonight is whether to designate it as a different zone. And so that's certainly, you know, when the proposal or changes come before various zoning processes, that might be an issue. But, you know, the minutes may reflect that comment as the discussion, but in terms of whether or not we have that in the ordinance, yes, we do.
And there's not another designation that encompasses that?
No,
P3 parking.
No, I mean, like, it doesn't allow parking for zoning code, right? In zoning, but I don't know.
I don't believe so, no.
Any other discussion? Trustee Menta?
Yeah, I noted in the minutes for the plan commission that staff had a recommendation of changing it to P3, all three parcels. But now that it's come to us, we don't have a staff recommendation. We know that there are these alternatives, so I'd like to ask Chris or Erica. Erica is a professional planner and our director of planning and development, what her recommendation is on this matter.
The reason I put a recommendation to the Plan Commission, I wasn't speaking from my personal views as a planner. It was initiated from the public, and therefore when I spoke broadly, when I said staff, it was coming from input from the public through the Central Business District Plan, and therefore I absolutely support the public input on this.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Well, I did fully answer. Because there's two alternatives that came before you, I didn't want this to get more complicated, this packet, than what it was, but I think I did answer your question, though, that I can
So you
support all three.
you don't have a recommendation between the two alternatives?
If I were to go back to the public input from 2013 and 2014, it would be all three. It would be all three parcels to the whole entire park and the parking lots to park preservation.
I mean, I think, we're looking for staff for, we're not really looking for you to just tell us what the public said. I mean, I think we as public officials and elected officials have a sense of what the public feels about things. I mean, I think we're looking to you and other staff for your professional analysis and evaluation and opinion. And generally, I actually can't remember a time where we've gotten something without a staff recommendation on it. So that's just, it struck me as odd that we didn't have staff.
I always put my recommendation in if it is initiated by me and something I request to move forward with. And there's certainly some zoning amendments in the 10 years I've been here that I initiated from the beginning. As a planner, I would say I would like to see both of those stay B1. So.
Trustee McKay?
I'm a little distracted by that exchange. Not your answer, but in my experience, staff recommendations usually are a way of telling us what we can do within code and current ordinance and to the matters ahead, before us. And staff has provided two options to us tonight that are both within our purview. So for that reason, I am comfortable that there was not a recommendation one way or another because they are both within our purview and they are both legal to do. That said, I support changing all three to P3, and if there's no other discussion, I would put a motion on the table so that to move forward with that ordinance. But President Johnson, I'm not sure what the procedure is at this point.
Well, we can. I just want to make a statement too. I'm not sure why you were getting to wherever you're coming from on that. It just seemed like more of a gotcha thing to me. So
No, I was-
it
I was
really
wondering-
did feel that way to me.
Well, I'm genuinely curious what the plan staff felt was the appropriate,
I think that we as a board can make the decision based on the two alternatives that are presented to us.
The planning commission was split, and the planners on the commission were split. The board had already, on the central district master plan, voted one way. So there was this contention that we are now presented here to try to resolve. So I can see where staff might, the planning commission is one position, the board took another in the central. So that's why it's before us to make the decision.
Trustee Rosie.
Well, I understand. I too support designating all three to P3, and I just want to say if there's any way that we could in the future look to preserve it from not being a service park, I would love to be able to do that in a different manner, some other future manner.
I have a question. If we were to redesignate the 3505 P2 to P3, would that prohibit us, probably not, but would that prohibit us from having, for example, bike share stations or, no, okay.
and we already have a bike share station.
Somebody like to make a motion?
I would make a motion to approve Exhibit J, which is ordinance number 2070, an ordinance to rezone properties in River Park to P3 Park Preservation District.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote.
Trustee Menta.
Aye.
Trustee Bachhorst.
Yes.
Trustee Maher.
Yes.
Trustee McKay.
Yes.
Trustee Rosen.
Yes.
Trustee Zobek.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Yes.
The vote is 7-0.
That takes us to the next item on the agenda. Once we make the ordinance, we have to do something with the zoning. So turn this back over to you.
I would move a motion to approve the zoning map amendment for parcels within River Park, the 3500 block of North Oakland Avenue is presented in Exhibit J, Exhibit B of Exhibit J, zoning amendments to River Park.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion stated, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. That takes us to item 10, reports of village officials. What did I miss something? Public Works. Trustee Amendment.
This is just a contract for, this is a contract to do borings for alley, the 4 alley that we talked about doing, design work for. And I just talked to the, couldn't get me tonight, but I just talked to her earlier today, when we're certifying whether if the alley project or John occurred for 2, 3, or 5, 3, 2, 4, 6, whatever it is, years, will the information we gather from actually doing boring be different in that period of time? And she said she felt confident that the work, even if the project's going to happen for several years, that the work we would get, the data we would get would still be relevant. So I'll move acceptance of the proposal from Gestra Engineering Inc. to provide pavement boring services for the village's 2017 alley program in the amount of $3,575. Oh, yeah.
I just had a couple quick requests from Castro to remove some language. On page 61 of that, in paragraph number 5, and then again on page 62 in paragraph number 10, in the indemnity clause, there's some language about us indemnifying them, paying attorney's fees and costs associated with defense if there's a lawsuit. And I asked them to strike that sentence because each party has their own insurance, and we do not want to lose that. So subject to that, everything else in the proposed contract is acceptable. So I guess the motion, if you would want to accept it, proposed change would be to approve it subject to final negotiation of those people by council.
You bet.
Yeah, how,
So,
do I have to amend my motion, or withdraw it and remake it, or?
No.
Okay, subject to the changes that will be discussed with the village staff.
second.
Okay, discussion, trustee Rosie?
So when it says it's going to be engineering for the identified projects for the 2017 alley reconstruction program, what, I know we're engineering for 4, but those 4, are they all 4 in the 2017 program? I didn't think they were.
For the engineering.
Right. I
And
know
then
if there's a
depends on-
technical thing there.
It depends on what we approve for funding, right?
I'm just,
No, they can still do the borings.
No, whether they're in the.
No, I hear what you're saying.
it just,
I mean, you're saying that
Oh, I
the
see.
alley program is just the 2 alleys?
right, because it's referencing the ones that are identified in the program, 2017 program, which are 2.
I guess you could say the 2017 program includes both the engineering for all of them. You know, you can say
Yeah.
the program includes everything.
Okay.
We want the borings for all of them.
Yeah.
That's what we're contracting for.
Proposals for all,
Includes all four.
For, at least for engineering. I think it's fine.
And it comes out of the budget line for alley reconstruction, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Trustee Zovic?
I would only like to add, not only is Gestra lower price, I know in the past we've used PSI for geotechnical engineering services. Gestra is a local firm. They're a minority business enterprise. And from my personal perspective, I like working with local firms, and I've worked with them in the past. And we usually use PSI, but I'm glad to see that we've got a local firm coming in at a lower price. So.
Okay, any other
Yeah, I'm
discussion?
glad we're moving forward on the engineering for the 4 alleys, to keep all our options on the table, so we get out into 2017, and have further discussions on what we end up doing. So that's great.
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Now we go to reports of village officials. I have none. Trustees?
In JP&L, I just wanted to report that we are proposing that if Nathan is available, he can visit the committee meetings in February to orient the new board and committee members that have been appointed over the past 6-8 months and refresh the current ones that have been serving on all open meeting laws, email communications, and other kind of statutory requirements. Legal stuff. And then we're also recommending that we offer the opportunity for chairs of boards and commissions to come together for an evening of sort of brainstorming, talking about initiatives, seeing where there might be synergy, collaboration opportunities, and that would be a publicly noticed meeting inviting the JP&L committee and any other, board liaisons to committees and whatnot. So that'll be dates to come forward.
Okay, thank you. Any other trustee?
I'm sorry, I just had a question. Will it be at a time that another committee meeting doesn't happen?
Right, it'll be a freestanding event.
Any other trustee reports?
I was just listening in on the ethic. Did you set a date for your, a certain date?
Yeah, it's kind of report in future consideration.
Okay.
BSI, the Strategic Initiatives Committee, received a report today from the Wilson Drive Community Task Force Steering Committee, and kind of summarized all of their work and the findings of their work. In moving forward, we identified 2 or 3 steps. I will be working with Mr. Schwartz and staff to schedule a meeting, a special meeting of the Strategic Initiatives Committee next week to discuss some of the details of the process going forward. By that I mean how the information from all the work the task force did fits into the design process. Following that meeting, we will have a presentation at the next board meeting, the next full board meeting from both the steering committee and MSA, Mid-States Associates, the consultant that was retained to help with some of the evaluation.
Are they aware of the timing of the?
Is MSA? I don't believe so. It's one of the things we need to check on in the next couple of years. But I believe that might be added to the contract. We need to check on that as well. And then following that, at a subsequent board meeting, hopefully 2 meetings from now, after the full board having heard the presentation and had ample time for consideration and discussion, we full board can take action on selection of one of the alternatives so that staff can proceed with the design, the request for proposals for design. We'll talk about it at that point, but one of the thoughts is I think in the past the staff has had for similar road design for road design projects, there's been a short list of pre-qualified engineering firms that the request for proposal goes out to for a number of reasons. This is different, and so one of the things we will probably contemplate discussing with staff is opening that up to more firms because this is a little bit unique. It's not simply a roadway. There's a lot of input. So we'll discuss more of that in the coming weeks. But like I said, 3 steps: the special meeting of the Strategic Initiatives Committee, the presentation to the board, and then thirdly, the discussion and action by the board.
Thank you. Any other reports from trustees? Seeing none, I'll move it on to reports from the village manager.
I'll do the one on Baylor first. A few things coming up. The community survey is complete, and I know Tyler was working with the researcher on finalizing that. And so there'll be a presentation. Tyler will do a presentation to the board in the next few weeks. We have a lot going on in the next few weeks, including the Wilson Drive Task Force presentation, so I want to make sure that we room. We also have the refuse collection probably in February or March coming back to the board. We sent an email out today. We have the marketing RFP coming, and that has to go through the marketing advisory committee and the leadership program committee before it comes back here. We also will have the alley financing plan alternatives and final bids on that coming up. So we have quite a few things coming up, as well as the big one in our sewer environmental plan that we should have by the end of the week for distribution to the board. And so there's a lot coming to the table in the next couple of weeks. Plus, as you know, we have a really big list of future considerations that we were discussing previously. So managing that is going to be, we're going to have to see how that all fits together in March. So I also want to talking with our village president, and given the year, beginning of the year, the timing It is a good time to have one of these. To you, when you've read it, it is a good time, I think, that I talked with the village president about time period needed to assure a good transition. And so I want to read the letter sent to President Johnson. It says, as 2017 begins, I believe it's appropriate time to formally announce that I'll be retiring from my position as of October 9th, 2017. It's been a true honor to serve the village of Shorewood since 2004. However, it's now time to spend more quality time with my wife, children, grandchildren, family, and hopefully do some things I truly enjoy outside my chosen profession. Throughout my tenure in Shorewood, I have had the opportunity to serve you as village trustee and village president, and want to thank you personally for your tireless dedication to the residents of the village of Shorewood. Your residents inspired board and staff members, as well as a dedicated group of volunteers who came together over the years to make a contribution to the betterment of the Shorewood community. I really appreciate Guy's guidance. He was one of the few that hired me. Probably the only one left, right? That hired me, this guy.
The rest of y'all got thrown out.
Yeah, they were all thrown out after that. But I really want a special thanks to Guy on that. I was also fortunate to work with a group of trustees over the years whose goal is to selflessly assure efficient, effective, and open local government while improving the quality of life for all Shorewood residents. I've had the pleasure and honor to work with some of the best and brightest department directors, administrative staff, library, police, and public works public servants. And it's no wonder that many Shorewood village managers make Shorewood their last career stop, and I am no exception. We do have a big history of here of long tenured village managers. I probably the least at 13 years. We've had many at 17, 18, and many of them, one of them, Keene, who was here in the 50s, they actually have a major award that the ICMA named after him. He was here a long time, retired here, to become the ICMA director, the International City Managers Association. So we have a great tradition of long tenured village managers who retired here, and I want to be one of those as well. As we go forward to 17, I'll work closely with the board, department directors, to ensure effective transition plan, including the recruitment of a new manager. Again, thank you for allowing me to serve the village of Shorewood. I look forward to a successful 2017. As I mentioned, we have a lot to do. And I'm hoping we, working with our staff to distribute a lot of that work to them. They don't know that yet.
Note you have 9 months, 9 months of effort.
I know, so I have a long time, but I think working with God, it seems like the 9 months at the beginning of the year was a good number to work with. We did the timetable backwards, so I think we'll make it.
Yeah, I think the timetable, the time frame works within a decent timetable for doing the selection process. I have, just been doing a few things. Contacted the mayor of Glendale because they just went through a transition and used a recruiting firm. So I had a meeting with the mayor there just to, get input from them. And gonna miss you. We will be working with the village manager's office to set up the procedure for how we're going to go through the recruitment. I think there's no question that we will be using a recruiting firm, a recruitment firm, in order to carry out the process. This is a very standard way of doing it. We did it back in 1994. It was a Minnesota firm that was used.
2004, not that old.
I meant 2004, thank you. And actually I contacted them and they don't really do this kind of stuff anymore. So But, yes.
I'm sure there'll be time for more formal speeches and expressions of appreciation for your length of service and everything you've done. But I appreciate the advance notice, and having had the opportunity in the past, while I served on the school board, to have taken part of the process of replacing a retiring long-term chief administrator of the school district with someone who I think was one of the best local leaders in a long time. I think I appreciate at least your comments about the thought being put into the process up front, and I look forward to working with the rest of the board in that process. I think there's a lot of collateral benefits we get from the process by talking what are our values and priorities as a board and a community as we go forward. So,
Going through an activity like this is probably one of the most important things that this board will be doing too.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
That is my report, unless there's any additional questions. Oh, yes, trustee Zolnick, you asked.
Oh, yeah.
Timing for a report on
Election update.
I can only report on village offices. I don't have the information from the school district, which you also asked about, so that will have to be obtained from the schools.
Okay.
There are 3 candidates for the April 4th, 2017 election for the office of village trustee. There will not be a need for a primary in this office. The candidates in alphabetical order, ballot order has not been determined yet, are Jessica Carpenter, Michael Maher, and Ann McKay.
And that closed today at 5 or 4:30 or whatever.
Yep.
Very good. Okay. So, items for future consideration. Does anybody have anything?
In addition to the previously mentioned items regarding Wilson Drive, I'm wondering, I don't know if it's for future consideration or just some action, communications action. You know, in the last number of months, our communication out regarding whether it's through Nixle or other vehicle, the communication, or channels I should say, the communications about crime and reported crime incidents in the village seem to increase. Along with that has been what seems to be some perception that there is a corresponding or a causative increase in crime, that we're having more reporting because there is more crime. And I was very interested to see a couple of responses from the chief with the statistics that show just the opposite, that there's been a reduction in terms of break-ins and burglaries and robberies. I might not be using those terms right. But I hope there's some way we can, and more than the manager's memo, I would think, is to get that information out. And maybe that's, I'm sure, your committee. And that's why I popped in. I didn't know if your committee was meeting, because I wanted to talk to them.
We didn't meet tonight, but yeah, Chris and I spoke about it, and I asked the same question, is how do you get the word out? Potentially, I'm going to talk to the chief about having a town hall meeting, and letting the residents, as many as they want to come, just talk about it, and have the chief present some of the facts of what they're doing to counteract the crime, and hopefully, you know, because
Has that communication from the chief gone to the press? We have press here.
oh, yeah.
I'll forward it to you, Jeff, to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the
Yeah.
primary.
Right.
Well, you know, and nowadays the numbers, when we look at the number of break-ins that were people left their doors unlocked, we can.
Yeah, apparently what I saw was, I forget, was it the past 10 years that the burglaries this year is the second lowest. Yeah. In the past 10 years. Thank you.
But burglaries and robberies are different.
Yes.
And we got the robberies too.
Oh, did he say robberies too with the lowest?
I don't remember what he said about robberies.
I'll forward it to Jeff.
I had,
Yes.
I would like to appreciate a report on the lien process that we approved in the budget for last year, and what were some of the ideas that were generated through the lien process, and what kind of savings were achieved for that initiative last year. And I would also like, we talked during budget a little bit about conferences and professional development. And I'm not sure if we do, I don't think we have a policy about it, but I would appreciate some discussion at JP&L about a policy on the appropriate amount of professional development for staff.
Okay. Trustee Rosie?
I don't know if this would be full board or if it just goes to committee, I don't know the process here, but permit fees for residential and commercial alarm systems is something that it started with small businesses having concern about it, and now hearing it from the residents, they're getting notices, they're getting equipment fees for it, so I'd like discussion on that. And also, just two other things, a recap on the 2016 solar power initiative. What are the numbers, just a, it could be a report form. Yeah, I mean, we're working with another agency, and I know it's doubled. I think we had a really good number this year. Just some, you know, a recap of.
Along those same lines, I'm reading a book, Trustee Silver, you might be interested in this one too. A book that just was published last year called The Grid. And it's an extremely interesting book on the subject of, you know, what variable energy does to power companies with their grid.
Yeah.
Listen to a lot of detail that's readable too.
And then my last one was, at some point, can we have a discussion at board level on meeting minutes? What the legal requirements are that Nathan was pointing out, and then what the preference of the board is on level of detail. That's it.
Okay. Any other items for future consideration?
I guess one of my concerns, I mean, we got this list, and we're adding more, I just heard, and I've heard, you know, we've got this list of major projects come. I'm start getting concerned about, staff have a lot of ongoing responsibilities we need them to be focused on. And as a board, we need to hold a discussion of prioritizing what we want them to work on, so we don't overwhelm the staff with all these projects. They can't focus on the day-to-day operations and delivery of services. I mean, these are all great, maybe they can't all be done in the next month or two, you know. Maybe, and I don't know, I haven't talked to the village manager, but that might be something to have a board discussion on. Is how do we weigh our requests to the staff versus their daily workload and stuff. I'm just
It's an important point. Okay. Any other items? Takes us to,
I move to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?